The valley is silent for the clan of Australopithecus afarensis. This silence is the sound of starvation. A month ago, this gorge was a cacophony of life, a larder of roots, berries, and small game. Now, it belongs to the bear. A single, colossal Agriotherium, a shaggy mountain of muscle and fat, has claimed their territory. From their perch on the high, barren ridge, they watch it move through the trees below, a walking embodiment of hunger's victory. In this clan, the social order is absolute, carved by generations of necessity.
This raft is
The
more than a
males,
tool.
larger
It is
and
a
heavier due to the deep script of sexual dimorphism, are a wall of vigilance around the young. They are the camp's protectors, their strength a shield against the fleeting threats of leopard or hyena. But the females, wary and quicker, hold the true power and the greater burden, the responsibility to provide. They are the hunters, the gatherers, the lifeblood of the group, and they are failing. The matriarch, her face a mask of hardened skin and deep minus-set eyes, watches the bear. She sees not an animal, but a lock on a door. Behind that door is the food that will quell the whimpering of the young and put strength back into the limbs of her clan. The other females look to her. They are a sisterhood of providers. Their bodies scarred from 1,000 forays, their hands calloused from digging and butchering. They see the listlessness in their children's eyes. They feel the shared, hollow ache in their own bellies. This is a crucial moment in a long saga of hominid history. The choice is as simple as it is brutal. They can abandon this territory, their home, and venture into the unknown plains, a world of rival clans and predators for which they have no map. A slow, wandering death, or they can stay and fight for the valley. They can hunt the hunger itself. The matriarch looks at the bear again. It is a geological force, an impossibly powerful creature far beyond any prey they have ever tackled. To hunt it with their fire-hardened sticks and crude stone choppers is not a plan. It is a form of madness. But she also sees the valley. She knows every rock, every tree, every narrow passage. The landscape itself is a weapon, if one has the mind to wield it, and I do. Cold and sharp as a shard of flint, begins to fall. She turns from the overlook and gathers the 5 strongest females. There are no words. There is only gesture, the primal language of intent. She points to the lethargic young. She points to her own empty stomach. Then, she points down into the valley, and with a sharpened stick, she draws the shape of the bear in the dirt. She looks at each of her hunters, her gaze holding them, binding them. Then, with a final, deliberate motion, she stabs the drawing with the stick, leaving it impaled in the creature's heart. The decision is made. There is no other path. They will hunt the god of their valley. They do not hunt with spears. They hunt with eyes. The party of 6 females descends into the valley like smoke. Their small, dark forms moving between shadows, their footfalls silent on the packed earth. Their vulnerability is absolute. A single, misplaced step, a snapped twig, would bring the behemoth upon them. This is the world of early humans. A world where survival is a conversation whispered in the predator's den. For 2 cycles of the sun and moon, they do nothing but watch. From the dense foliage of the gorge walls, they chart the bear's life. They learn its rhythms. It sleeps in the heat of midday in a shallow cave near the river. It drinks at dawn and dusk from the same deep pool. It follows a predictable circuit through the valley, a path of least resistance worn into the earth by its own immense weight. The matriarch commits every detail to memory, into her mind. The valley is no longer land. It is a set of pathways and triggers, a web of cause and effect. This is cognitive mapping in its purest, most primal form, the creation of a world inside the skull that is more real, more useful than the world outside. They gather their weapons, a pathetic arsenal against a god. They are not masters of flint knapping. Their primitive technology is organic and opportunistic. They find the heavy femur of a long-dead hippo, a club of immense weight. They use sharp stones to splinter the horns of a goat, creating crude, brittle daggers. These are osteodontocratic tools, the implements of bone, tooth, and horn that defined the first chapters of ancient history. They are weapons of desperation, symbols of their profound physical disadvantage. Their true weapon remains the map inside the matriarch's mind. The trap is a beautiful, terrifying thing. There is a section of the bear's path that cuts through a narrow gorge. A place where the granite walls are steep and the footing is loose grey. Above this choke point, a ledge is piled high with boulders, weathered and unstable. The plan is an equation of timing, terror, and gravity. To watch them prepare is to understand the first human language, the language of the map inside the mind. To bear witness is to hold that map, to see the lines of foresight as they are drawn across the landscape of time. Join this chronicle. Help us remember the cartographers of survival. The emotional turning point arrives on the third day. The bear is approaching the gorge. The hunters are in position. Two are hidden near the entrance. They're tasked to make a sudden noise, to startle the beast and send it running into the trap. 3 are on the ledge above, their shoulders pressed against the key boulders. The matriarch is below, alone, hidden behind a rock near the gorge's exit. Her hippofemur club held in a 2-handed grip. She's the final, suicidal backstop. The air is thick with the scent of ozone and the bear's musky fur. The ground begins to tremble with its approach. Fear is a cold liquid in their veins. But the image of their starving young is a fire that burns it away. The signal is a sudden, piercing shriek from the mouth of the gorge. It is the cry of a terrified prey animal, a sound expertly mimicked to trigger an instinct older than stone. The bear, a creature of immense power but simple priorities, reacts as expected. It breaks into a lumbering charge, a wave of dark furred claws flooding into the narrow channel, away from the perceived threat. It is a fatal error, an assumption that the danger is behind it. As the bear passes the midpoint of the gorge, the 3 hunters on the ledge heave. The boulders topple, not with a crash, but with a grinding roar. They cascade down the cliff face. An avalanche of granite. The bear looks up a fraction of a second too late. The rocks strike its flank and hindquarters, a hammer blow of geologic force. It does not fall, but it tumbles, its back leg shattering with an audible crack. The behemoth bellows, a sound of pure agony and rage, and turns to face its unseen attackers. This is the moment of commitment. The 2 females who gave the initial cry now break cover, running not away, but towards the wounded, thrashing beast. They hold their sharpened horned daggers, their bodies impossibly small against the enraged animal. Their role is not to kill, but to distract, to draw the bear's furious attention while it is still pinned by pain and confusion. This is the brutal calculus of the hunt in the Pliocene epoch. The coordinated, selfless act where the group's survival depends on the near-suicidal bravery of its members. Then the matriarch strikes. She emerges from behind her rock, a silent, grey predator. While the bear is lunging at the 2 darting females, she approaches its crippled side. She raises the massive hippofemur, a bone of a giant wielded against a giant. The weapon requires every ounce of her strength, her body a taut spring of murderous intent. The first blow lands on the bear's skull, just above the eye. It is a sickening, wet crunch. The bear staggers, stunned. The second blow lands in the same spot. The creature collapses, a mountain of fur and bone finally surrendering to a will more relentless than its own. Silence descends, broken only by the ragged, panting breaths of the hunters. They have won. The valley is theirs again. But the victory is paid for in blood. One of the distracting females lies motionless, her body broken by a final, desperate swipe of the bear's claws. Another has a deep gash in her leg, a wound that will likely fester and kill. There is no celebration. The hunters immediately shift from the frenzy of the kill to the quiet, focused work of care. The matriarch kneels beside the wounded female, pressing a ward of moss and leaves against the gash. The others gently move their fallen sister. This is the other side of the hunt, the act of altruism that truly defines them. They have proven they are the most dangerous predators in the valley. Now, in the face of their own loss, they must prove they are its most compassionate. That hunt was not just for food. It was a redefinition of power. The matriarch and her hunters did not win through superior strength, but through superior knowledge of the land, of their prey, and of each other. This is a narrative often lost in the grand epic of human evolution, a story that challenges our assumptions about the roles our ancestors played. The evidence found by archaeology, the cut marks on bones, the placement of ancient camps, tells a story of cooperation and intellect, not just brute force. It asks us to consider the possibility that for much of our history, the hand that rocked the cradle was also the hand that held the spear. This clan of Australopithecus teaches us a fundamental lesson. Leadership is not about size or strength. It is about foresight, the willingness to take calculated risks, and the profound understanding that a community's strength lies in its bonds of care. We are the descendants of those who knew not only how to kill the bear at the mouth of the valley, but also how to heal the wounds that victory cost. The question echoes through the millennia. What valleys do we now fight for? And what price are we willing to pay to reclaim them?